Its speed, range, and ruggedness.
Around the world today, thousands of flights carry people and goods across destinations. Hopping from border to border, these planes aren't just moving us, they're pushing the world into the future. But did you know the success of aviation today owes a great deal to one legendary line of aircraft? A line that carved its way into everything from commercial to private and even military use, the DC-3. Nicknamed the Goonie Bird, this iconic plane rewrote the rules of the game. It made flying accessible to the masses, turning the skies into a bustling highway and redefining what an era knew as the art of flying. But what exactly made this plane so special? How did it change the world? And how did this massive win for aviation almost never make it off the drawing board? In the early 1930s, Transcontinental and Western Air, aka TWA, needed a reliable modern aircraft to stay competitive in the growing airline industry. At the time, taking a trip through the skies was not the relatively easy ordeal we know today. Sure, before the DC-3, flying was a luxurious experience, but it was also highly unreliable, often reserved for the wealthy. Planes were smaller, carried fewer passengers, and required frequent stops due to their limited range. To make things worse, flights were noisy, uncomfortable, and inefficient, with some routes even requiring overnight sleeping berths. But that wasn't even the worst part. Many aircraft, like the early Fokkers, were built with wooden frames, making them fragile and dangerously prone to accidents, especially in bad weather. One such tragedy was the crash of a Fokker F-10 in 1931, which highlighted the dangers of older wooden-framed planes. Because of this accident, TWA needed to make a change and approach the Douglas Aircraft Company, asking them to develop a safer, all-metal aircraft with superior performance. The result was the Douglas DC-1, a prototype that first flew in 1933. This plane featured a sleek design, an all-metal body, and twin engines. It could carry 12 passengers, which at the time was a huge step forward for aviation. However, for all its bells and whistles, the DC-1 was never put into mass production. Instead, it served as a testing ground for what came next, the Douglas DC-2. Introduced in 1934, the DC-2 improved on the DC-1 by increasing passenger capacity to 14 and offering even more powerful engines. As you'd imagine, it quickly became a favorite among airlines, including TWA, which used it to operate transcontinental flights. But more importantly, the DC-2's success proved that Douglas Aircraft was capable of building revolutionary planes, setting the stage for the most famous of them all, the DC-3. When it first hit the world in 1936, the Douglas DC-3 wasn't just a plane, it was a masterpiece of engineering that forever changed the way the world took to the skies. Designed by the Douglas Aircraft Company, this twin-engine, propeller-driven marvel was built to solve one problem: how to make flying not just a luxury for the wealthy, but a practical and profitable venture for airlines. And how it did this was a stroke of genius, because at its core, the DC-3's engineering was a leap forward. It featured a streamlined all-metal fuselage that was both lightweight and sturdy, offering durability that just 3 years before was thought to be impossible. Powered by two Pratt & Whitney radial engines, it could cruise comfortably at speeds of 150 to 200 miles per hour, while carrying a payload that earlier planes could only dream of. Now, the speed might seem slow today. After all, we have cars that would leave the plane in the dust. But you have to remember, this was the 1930s, and at that time, this was the definition of breakneck speeds. But it wasn't just speed. The DC-3 also featured a spacious cabin that seated around 20 passengers in luxury that was simply unheard of at the time. With plush seats, ample legroom, and noise insulation, air travel started to feel less like an experiment and more like an adventure. However, it wasn't just comfort that set the DC-3 apart. It was the plane's efficiency that really changed the game, especially because this plane had the ability to fly non-stop for up to 1,500 miles. For the aviation industry, this was like putting a man on the moon. Airlines could finally operate routes that were faster, cheaper, and far more reliable than railroads. This plane wasn't just a technological breakthrough, it was the first aircraft that could actually turn a profit while flying passengers. essentially opening the skies to the masses and creating the industry we know and occasionally grumble about today. What's fascinating about the DC-3 is that beyond its commercial success, it became a universal tool, showing up in so many sectors that it truly defined flight across the globe. And perhaps the most mind-blowing chapter of its legacy unfolded on the military stage, a plane that outlasted wars, known as the C-47 Skytrain or Dakota to British forces. This aircraft was more than just a tool of war, it was a lifeline. During World War II, it moved troops, dropped supplies to the front lines, and transported wounded soldiers back to safety. Its most dramatic moment, however, came during the Berlin airlift of 1948 to 1949. The C-47 carried essential food and supplies to a city blockaded by Soviet forces, proving its reliability under the most intense pressure. And let's not forget its role on D-Day, where it was absolutely pivotal. The C-47 dropped thousands of paratroopers behind enemy lines, enabling the success of the Allied invasion. It didn't stop there. It also towed gliders packed with troops and equipment, landing in rough terrains that would have wrecked lesser aircraft. Its ability to operate from makeshift dirt airstrips made it invaluable, especially in regions with little to no infrastructure. But the DC-3 story didn't end with the war. The flood of surplus planes found a second life in commercial aviation, and that's when it truly made its mark. After the war, airlines eagerly bought these rugged aircraft at bargain prices, converting them into passenger and cargo planes. Suddenly, small towns were connected to the skies, and global travel experienced an unprecedented boom. In remote corners of the world, from Alaska's rugged wilderness to Africa's sprawling savannas, the DC-3 thrived where modern planes struggled, proving its unmatched ability to conquer extreme conditions. Affectionately called the Goonie Bird by pilots, the DC-3 became a global symbol of aviation excellence. Whether delivering mail, ferrying passengers, or serving in wartime efforts, this aircraft embodied a rare combination of durability and versatility. And here's the amazing part: these planes are still flying today. Though their commercial heyday is long gone, hundreds of DC-3s continue to operate around the world. Many have found specialized roles, thriving in remote or challenging environments where newer aircraft fall short. In places like Alaska, Africa, and South America, the DC-3 remains indispensable for its ability to handle unpaved runways, haul heavy loads, and endure extreme weather. From delivering vital supplies to isolated communities, to transporting cargo across rugged terrains, the DC-3 continues to prove its worth in areas with limited infrastructure. Enthusiasts and aviation organizations have also embraced the DC-3 for its historical significance. Today, numerous aircraft are lovingly restored and showcased in museums, while others participate in air shows, offering a nostalgic glimpse into the golden age of aviation. Some have even been upgraded with modern avionics and engines, seamlessly blending classic design with contemporary technology. One standout moment was the 75th anniversary of D-Day in 2019, when restored C-47s retraced their historic missions across the English Channel. These commemorative flights not only honored the aircraft's military achievements, but also highlighted its enduring reliability and charm. In today's aviation world, the DC-3 is far more than a relic. It's a testament to resilience and brilliant engineering. For those who maintain and fly this iconic plane, the Goonie Bird is proof that exceptional design can truly stand the test of time. But what do you think? Is the DC-3 the greatest aircraft ever built? Or is its legend just the product of nostalgia for a bygone era? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you see the DC-3 as a masterpiece of engineering and resilience, or just a relic of simpler time? If you love exploring the history of aviation and uncovering the stories behind the machines that shaped our world, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Stay inspired, keep exploring, and as always, we'll see you in the skies.